Hey, how's it going, guys? I'm Chris, and this is Regular Guy Training. So today we're going to revisit the B.A.D lever. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying this. The review that I did that was, that was several years in the making and that kind of stuff. I was approaching it more or less than anything else like a left-handed dude that was fucking around with right-handed stuff. Really. As some of you know, I spent like a year and a half straight doing right-handed only stuff. And the more time that I spend on the right-handed thing, the more that, I'm realizing how it is that you folks operate, right? So that said, let's go into this, right? Gonna recap a little bit when I was talking about my review on this guy. Right. My initial thought process on this was that, okay, if I'm going to use this thing as a left-handed dude, I'm going to use it as, like a regular bolt drop with my thumb push, that is what it is. And if I got to lock the action in the rear, I got this big, huge lever. I can pin this down. That goes to the rear and we're all good. But I had an add-on opinion, and that was if I'm doing this right-handed, I'm still going to use the ping pong paddle side. It's huger and it's easier to get to. Bang, I can use it. And if I got to lock the action in the rear, I'm going to use a giant friggin' lever to get the thing to the rear, right? And this was mainly off of like dry fire practice and that kind of stuff. I had noticed that in my dry fire practice, if I would go straight in on the lever and try to use just my index finger to drop that lever, I could slip inside of that trigger guard. And the first time that I touched a shoe and didn't want to, during my dry fire practice, that opened my eyeballs and it spooked me off of it because I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm letting that happen with live rounds. That's retarded, right? So I just kind of got all the way off it, and I said, I'm just going to use the much larger ping pong paddle I've got on this side now, and it'll just be this motion for either hand. It's no big deal. Well, after I posted that video, I do read comments and I do pay attention to what you guys say. So I can't get to all of them, obviously, but there were enough of you that said, hey, that thought is kind of retarded. You should probably look into it, and here's why. So having read that and starting to examine what the words mean, some of you guys don't type very well, so it took me a minute to figure out what you were trying to say. But I did figure out what y'all were trying to say, and I'm fucking human enough to be like, hey, I didn't look at it that way, especially since I really don't have a lot of time on my right-hand side. So, in essence, the defense against, that's super unsafe, and just looking at it, it looks super fucking unsafe, is, and this is how I interpreted all of that, is once you press that magazine button and drop that guy out, right? The second you get that magazine out of there, the next thing that you need to be able to do is go straight to the fencing on that magazine button, like basically right to the corner. And once you go straight to the corner of the fencing on that magazine button, the next thing that you can do is you can bring up your new magazine. And once you've inserted that new magazine, you take the tip of your trigger finger here and you slide forward of that and go straight to the magazine well. So that the only thing that catches and drops that particular lever is the joint of the index finger rather than, a pad, or the worst case scenario really is the tip of that trigger finger, which means that once the front end of your digit is all the way out here, there's no way that you can actually get in that trigger guard, and really you're flexing that index finger to press on that individual device, right? So you're using the joint of that individual index finger to flex all the way inboard, and you're still captured on that magazine well, so there's no way for you to actually screw this up. Get inside the trigger guard and do unsafe shit. So that's one thing. The other thing, too, is that when we're talking about locking the action in the rear, this is actually a similar principle. The only difference now is that we're going to scoop that joint of that index finger underneath, catch the B.A.D lever itself, okay, by getting underneath it with that index finger. And the second that you get underneath that with the joint of that index finger, you scoot that sumbitch forward and make sure that it is on the magazine well again. And once you've done that, there's no actual pushing happening here. Okay, that trigger finger is just bowed and stuck into place. And once you do that, okay, we're locked to the rear. So now I can lock the action in the rear or drop the bolt significantly faster, and it's safe. Now, I've done this with gloves. I've done this cold, I've done this wet. Sleet and snow and all this other shit, because I really wanted to make sure that what I was looking at was down. I had it right. I was going to keep it right so that it was thoroughly examined enough to say, okay, this definitely works. And there are a couple of extremes that I actually still wouldn't do one of these actions, and that's locking the action in the rear. Mostly because I'm not in super duper control of these anymore. Like, for instance, if we're in like Maine, okay, in January, when it's just like it hurts to breathe when I walk outside cold, right? At least for me anyway. Okay, I weigh about 17 pounds. I'm not gonna do that because I know that in about an hour I'm gonna have much less control of these. It's gonna feel like there's hardening concrete in my hands, and I honestly probably just can't reliably get up underneath there and do that. And having experienced a little bit of the bad lever fish, where I'm just kind of like, where the fuck, and then I'll get it, and even as I'm trying to lock my action or rear, I'm not real confident in it, as far as whether or not I've got the lever even hooked on a glove or whatever. So in that particular case, I'm still going to break it down, use the huge lever portion of this, and I'm going to lock my action in the rear, mostly because, again, I might not have that fine a control and that kind of stuff of my hands. And really, the reason for changing up the techniques is my circumstances changed. And if you pursue this in a professional manner, the circumstances are going to dictate what techniques you use anyway. But this is now an additional option for those of you that wrote off the bad lever really fast because you saw something similar to what I did, and that also continued to do what I did and just wrote that off as, well, that's fucking dangerous, and just moved on from it. An additional thing that I do have as far as a criticism that I didn't really address in the last video was, it's not really a criticism, it's just something to be aware of. This rifle is a little well known as far as the student body is concerned. I've handed the gun out, to students if their gun's broke. If it's something shitty like a Springfield Saint or something. And no, I don't care how many billions of rounds you fired through it. They're not good rifles. Or if somebody fucked all the way up and bought like an ACR or something. But this guy's been handing out to a bunch of students if their guns broke. I've done a bajillion demos with this rifle too. It's had a running nickname of Ricky Bobby that I didn't even give to it, but I've just been continuing to call it that for a long time because it's a go fast rifle. You can see the freaking SOCOM out here, and there's a cool fucking recoil system in it and that kind of stuff. This gun has a lot of rounds through it. It's had its barrel changed, I forget now, I think it's 7. A lot of rounds through it, on the receivers, because everything on board the rifle's been changed at one point or another. The receivers in the handguard. Well, fuck, even the handguard's been changed too. Not the point. Point is that a lot of rounds have been fired through this gun. A lot of stuff has been done with this gun. And this bad lever has been here for a while. Now, the reason why this is pertinent and important is because the same ping pong paddle has been here too. And this sucker moves around a lot. And this isn't your screw is not tight issue. This sucker moves around a lot right now. The reason why it moves around a lot right now is because it's starting around the edges of the ping pong paddle. And some bad levers I've heard from people come out of box a little loose. Now, that's annoying as shit. What I have noticed, though, is that if you're using Loctite like everything else it's got, especially gun screws, which means they're small, it's not coming off. I've never had one come off. I thought it was coming off because of how fucking loose it was. But then I recognized while taking it off, it's like, nah, that's that was on. That was solid the whole time. So, far as all that is concerned, it's just annoying for those of you that are in a billet to where you're gonna have to do rifle stuff that is actually quiet and you don't want shit rattling around and making noise and that kind of thing. Probably not for you. For everybody else on the fucking planet that isn't trying to be a ninja with a gun, it doesn't come off. It's just annoying more than anything else. And what I'm gonna do, because there's a lot of old crap on this rifle, I'm probably just gonna change out the ping pong paddle and get a new bad lever. The bad lever on this I've had for like a million years. So, just to make things tight again so that my OCD chills the fuck out and it's a little less annoying to me. But as far as whether or not it does its job, I mean, it does that just fine. And, when I'm in the middle of doing reloads and that kind of stuff, freaking, I'll go do the thing, drop magazines out, and you see me pushing forward on this every time. So, see me pushing forward on it, get a new reload in, and we're good. And now I got to go back in here. As far as, low ready positions and that kind of stuff, all it really turns into for me is that if I'm in a low ready and that kind of thing, I'm on the fence, right? So I'm on the fence. This is a good neutral area. I know that this is a good neutral area because it's a fence. I can feel a button. I can feel it's below it. I'm on the fence. I'm ready to go. And the second I need to go, we're up and we're doing what we got to do. So it really is as simple as that. I believe that they're good tools. I believe they're good tools. They can speed you up, whether you're left or right-handed, really, significantly so. And there's been a lot of people that have tried to copy it or, make ambi controls. Some people would cut receivers and that kind of stuff. But as far as a plug and play, easy. Let's go do things right now. No crazy extra expense. I don't think that there is a product like it, and even the people that have tried to copy it do it less good, I think. So, that's my opinion on that. Update time. I am still doing classes all over the place. I got classes going on in January, fucking February, March, April, May, and that's where I'm at right now. We're scheduled out to May. May is a vehicle class. We have the mechanical series and that kind of stuff happening. So I'm in the middle of doing a little bit of a reformat to understand, I understand the economy of how things are right now as far as ammunition and, in a lot of cases, guns. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to rework a regular self-defense format and use that in conjunction with what I got going on for mechanical classes. So I can teach you the really important stuff that you have to know, and then after that we can spend 2 days doing a ton of martial stuff, all the things that people have come to expect from us over time. A couple other things. I am reviewing a Barrett Rec 7 and a Primary Arms Raptor. They're the ACSS reticle, single focal plane, variable 1.6, that kind of stuff. So I am reviewing both of those, and the reason why that gun looks as pretty as it does is because it hasn't been here very long. So we're gonna be reviewing that. So as soon as we can get fucking ammo. I haven't forgot about the Serbian guns that are in my house too, and again, economy of ammo and that kind of stuff is the reason why they're just kind of sitting there. When we have more access to the ammo and that kind of stuff, we're going to continue to shoot those things. Minor spoiler alert, the Z-PAP is not handling this shit well. It's really not. I can't wait to do the video on it, really, because it's got like 2,800 rounds through it so far, and we're seeing wild shit happening to it. So I kind of can't wait until that video comes, because I'm going to laugh a lot. So that is what it is. We're planning on scheduling more classes and that kind of stuff. I am talking to people about Virginia. I actually got to get back to a guy on that as far as scheduling. We're going back to Georgia, for those that are wondering that. And of course, I'm kicking over boxes and shit. We're going back to Georgia for those that are wondering that. My Nevada people, I haven't forgot about you. I have not. I'm going to go back out there. My Montana people, I have not forgotten about you. I'm definitely going back out there. So, do you guys know, as well as everyone else, this year has been tough on everybody. So, if there's stuff that you wanted as far as reviews or classes or whatever, just bear with us. As far as my absence on politically driven videos, I'm just exhausted, right? I'm still doing what I gotta do, but as far as publishing videos on it and that kind of stuff, I'm frankly just kind of exhausted with how blatantly obvious stupid shit is happening and how tolerant people are to that stupid shit. But I'm gonna put a pin in that, and we might explore it later. Other videos I don't want to do. A video came out fairly recently about red dots on handguns, and it was full of a bunch of absolute horseshit nonsense. And I'm probably going to do a response video to that because that is borderline harmful with how misinformed this individual is. Like nut and fancy levels of fucking stupid. But when that video comes out, it'll be more clear. So, that is what it is. Further from that, again, more stuff coming on the pipeline. So if you want to check us out if you want to check us out on Facebook, you can. If you want to subscribe to us, hit a like on the video. Awesome. Thanks. If you want to support us through Patreon and that kind of stuff, fantastic. If you want to do that and help yourself, $41 a month, and you train with us as often as you want to. All it really turns into is like a email back and forth between me and you. You don't have to pay full price for classes anymore. You're just paying $41 a month. Just looking at my page and looking at how much it costs for a 1-day or a 2-day class, and it makes sense. Okay? So if you want to dedicate to it and develop, that's a way to do it. Okay. So that being said, that's really all I have on this whole thing. So remember, regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Be easy.